We are going live. Hey, everybody, it's showtime. Showtime, and I'm a giant nerd. All right.
Do. Oh, yeah.
Ready to go live. Hello, everybody. It's a dinosaur. His name's Rex and blah 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 bloop. Do 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 do. Yeah! Tonight's live stream is sponsored by Paketo, Castle Siege, Starforge, and Blessed Dark hit Kickstarter October 15th. Hello, amazing people. It is so cool to be here tonight. We've kind of got like a celebrity already because just amazing content that I am constantly seeing. I think you were just producing like some beautiful, just quick snippet reviews out there, and
thank you.
I'm excited because you're welcome. You're welcome. What we have
also,
Grant Lyon here. Yeah.
I also want to say I love the energy of that intro, man. That's legitimately one of my roommates is the guy that like just narrates whatever he's doing. He's like in the other room, like cooking some pancakes, gonna have some pancakes. And I'm like, oh, you made me feel at home with your like, I got a dinosaur. Yeah.
I have way too much. I mean, it comes. I think I would like to say that it comes from having 3 kids, but my wife would say no. He was like this beforehand.
Yeah, he was born like this, baby.
Yeah, he's not going to change anytime soon. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where I've enjoyed having that energy and just having that kind of fun with little things like that. But yeah, no. So tonight. I know I'm a little crazy like that. No, my wife says to all of her friends and says it to anybody we interact. It's never a dull moment. And she says it with a little bit of sarcasm and a little bit of like despair. You can tell it's like it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
a little
stop.
bit of eye rolling. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like
that's why as a comedian, I feel like as a comedian, that's kind of the way some people are when they date us too, where it's like in the first couple months, it's like, ooh, he's a comedian. And then like a year into it, it's like, oh, he's a comedian. You know?
Gosh. He doesn't know when to stop joking around. Wild.
Exactly.
Wild stuff. Hey, it looks like Kidsplaining's on here to watch. I know you just you did a giveaway with them earlier this month. Is that right?
Earlier about a week ago. Yeah, they're doing something really awesome. They're doing a 12 games of Christmas giveaway, giving away 12 different games and partnering with a different content creator for each day. And I was lucky enough to do one of the days with them, and they're giving away a bunch of awesome games, and it's really cool of them. And I think they are people worth supporting. You know?
That I agree. That I completely agree. Jared and Peyton are adorable, and their parents are just amazing. Daniel and Allison, they are just fabulous. But I brought you on to talk about you, sir. You are our star tonight. So
okay, me.
Yeah. So okay, don't get ahead of yourself now. But no, I'm excited because I've enjoyed just our interactions. I mean, most of our interactions basically have been via Messenger and just talking back and forth in the board game mainstream, where really that's how I got to know you, or that's how a lot of people got to understand who you are. And then it led to me seeing a little bit of the comedy stuff, and I laugh, and I'm like, it's good. I've enjoyed. It's definitely something that I think we need more of, and it's hard. I know it's got to be hard for comedians to be able to get out in the scene, especially with 2020 and COVID, to be able to find ways of bringing that comedic fun and timing to light when it's there's a lot of crap going on. I don't know if anybody knows this, but 2020 hasn't been that great of a year.
Little bit of a dumpster fire, just a little bit of a dumpster fire.
But you've done something really cool. I think you started about April? I think it was what you stated is I think around you started doing some board game reviews. Yeah,
and it started for me as basically, you know, my whole life was centered around comedy before this, or I spent about half my year in LA and half my time everywhere else. I've performed in 45 states and like 5 different countries at this point, so it's really kind of all over the place. And then the pandemic kind of ended all of that, right? I mean, it put a stop to all the touring for pretty much everybody. And so I was a person who loved games and had a decent board game collection even before that time. And, you know, we were just playing a lot of games in March and April, just me and my roommates. And you know, I was like, a lot of people that I'm friends with don't know games as well as I do. So let me make like some funny short game recommendation videos, and hopefully, you know, someone who doesn't know that much about board games is actually going to get some good recommendations for some good games. And people that do know a lot about board games, hopefully they'll come and get a laugh about games that they already know, right? I'm trying to write a bunch of jokes. And so it partly was like a way for me to have like a nice creative outlet, you know, where I'm like, boy, I'm not writing jokes for the stage right now because I have no stage. So let me write some jokes about different games I love and stuff. Yeah.
Now,
so that
the
was
people
kind
that
of the
are
idea behind it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, the people that are living with you, your roommates, are they also into comedy, or are they into different types of different scenes and things of that nature?
We are all comedians. It is 4 guys, myself and 3 other guys. We are known around the Los Angeles comedy scene as the Dadpad. Just a bunch of dudes with no kids. But we've entered that dad phase of our lives. Even though we don't have kids, there's a lot of like making noises like when we stand up, you know, doing a lot of lot of dad things like that. And so we call ourselves the Dadpad. And it's like a fun place to live, and you know, it's nice because we all have common goals and common schedules and things like that, right? You know, I mean, that's one of the hard things where, you know, we only have one shower, but it's not that big a deal because none of us are getting up and going to a job in the morning every morning, you know? So yeah, it worked out all right. Yeah.
So now you were able to take some of this and turn it into you were able to take some of your script writing for comedy and be able to apply it to the board game scene and make content with that. How are some other ways that you've been able to still bring comedy out to the public when you really can't be, like you said, on the stage? What are some things that you're doing that we could be looking for?
Well, I mean, we are still doing like Zoom shows and things like that. There are still a lot of comedy that are happening sort of online. You know, I'm not doing nearly as much of that as I was doing live, right? Like, I would say I was performing before the pandemic. I was performing 5 nights a week, and now I'm doing a show maybe 3-4 times a month. You know, I'm doing. But it's really fun to get the opportunity. Like, for instance, just over the weekend, I did a big corporation. I did their holiday party. So they hired a comedian to like host and do jokes on their holiday party. So, you know, still finding like weird ways like that to perform. I mean, it's definitely different, right? Like the timing is different and the feedback is different. They couldn't figure out their the corporate show I just did, they couldn't really figure out how the Zoom sound worked. So the solution they found was to just mute everybody except for me. So it's a weird thing to like tell jokes to people for 30 minutes with zero laughter and just go, well, I know I'm funny, so I'm trusting that people are laughing at home. And I can see people in their little Zoom screen, like kind of like laughing and nodding. I can't hear anything, but I'm like, well, they're laughing, they're nodding, so I'm killing with those people. I'm crushing it. So, you know, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, that's one of the best parts of my job, right? Is that I get to like make people's day better, hopefully. You know, I mean, those are some of the, you know, comedy is self-serving in the sense that I love doing it and I love performing and I love being creative. But hopefully it's more than just that. Like, you know, people come up to you after a show and go, you know, man, I just had a terrible week and I really needed this. So thank you. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's, you know, hopefully you could do it for a bigger reason than that. You know, a bigger reason like that is what I mean. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I agree that comedy definitely brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. And I think that's something that we definitely need more of in 2020 amidst everything else that's going on. Just to be able to laugh at the stupid things that sometimes are just happening. I mean, there's a lot of first world problems that we have to deal with. We're not having to deal with things that are a lot more rough. But I mean, there's times where we just need to be able to somehow kick back and relax and rest our minds. And sometimes I feel like comedy really does help us to kind of be able to just de-stress. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. So.
And I think comedy has the same thing as board games, where it has the power to like bring people together that might not be, you know, together, right? You know, where I think that's one of the best things about board games. It's like, look, we can leave politics aside, we can leave, you know, different things like that, and just enjoy each other's company through this activity. And I think good comedy can do that too.
I agree. Yeah, board games have definitely been a blessing. I know for me this year, especially the fact that, you know, we're not able to go to the convention scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately feel like I wouldn't have gotten through this year without board games. You know, because one, they've brought me a ton of joy. Two, they've like given me some like mental activity when I can't leave my like I don't want to just watch TV all the time, right? So like this is a way to like use my brain, and they've given me a creative outlet where I'm like writing jokes and making these videos. Like I'm somebody that has to be creative. It's just like in my DNA. And you know, when I can't do comedy and I can't do stuff like that, so I need something creative, and it's like board games has really given me that outlet for my creativity too. I feel like they said, like it's dramatic to say, but I feel like they saved my life.
Well, I mean, I can believe that. I mean, I can believe that about board games, and I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, especially about that idea that, I mean, they really do help us find ways of connecting and find ways of being able to keep our mental focus when so much stuff has not been good. So much hasn't been. But it's a blessing to be able to.
Yeah. And I would say, like, I'm somebody that's kind of like an Omni gamer anyways. It's like, yes, sometimes I want to sit down and play a 2 or 3 hour thingy game. And sometimes I just want to play something real dumb and silly, you know? And the fact that all of those things exist in the board game world, and you can sort of really whet your palate with whatever you need. I mean, I just love that about it. That's why I'm like, I don't get it when people like, sometimes in board games you hear people like, oh, I don't like party games, and it's like, why not? They're dumb and they're silly and they're fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to play it every single night, but like when I have the right group and when I have the right people, of course, it's fun. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense because you've got your filler games, you've got your quick games, you got your party games, you got your mid to lightweight Euros, you got your heavyweights. and it's always funny because you hear all these terms, and like when I got into getting into board games, I'm still learning these terms. Like, okay, somebody says rondelle, okay, I have no clue, and it's like, or they say it's crunchy, and I'm like, what is this? I'm like, are we talking about tacos? Because I'm all about getting some tacos right now. So but
if you ask somebody for a definition of a Euro game, you'll never get the same definition twice.
No. You'll it's crazy. And then you got the Amerithrash, or some people call it Ameritrash, and I'm just like, there's so many terminologies. I'm just like, is it a fun game? Because if it's a fun game and I can learn it, I'm having a good time. I'm happy. And I'm happy if I have the people around the table.
That's sort of the same thing. People ask me all the time. They're like, well, what kind of comedy do you do? And I'm like, I mean, the funny kind, hopefully. Like, I mean, that's generally what it is. The funny, the good kind. That's what kind of comedy I do, is the good kind. Yeah.
Oh, Rachel, I can't believe you just said this. It's a fun game if I'm beating Chris. We'll find out tonight. I mean, we are playing Curmudgeon later tonight, and we're going to see how Rachel does against me and everything. Right. I think we got a pretty good crew coming in tonight. But yeah, nice. So you said you kind of were into board games even when COVID hit. You kind of had games going on. What kind of got you into board games growing up? I mean, was there a certain point where you're like, okay, this is the game that kind of started that feeling like I want to play more? Or was it something that came later on in life?
The game that got me into games was Magic the Gathering. And I think part of that was because I lived in a townhouse complex, and the townhouse complex backed up to like a strip mall sort of thing. And there was a game store in the strip mall. So I could literally just hop my wall and like walk over to this game store when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old. And so you would go into this game store all the time because I thought it was cool. And they, as with most game stores, they just have so much Magic the Gathering stuff in there. So I started collecting Magic cards and playing, playing with my friends and playing. I taught my brother how to play and made him play with me. I taught my dad how to play and made him play with me. I'm sure they did not like the game, but they were nice enough to play with me when I was young. And then I got out of it. When I was a teenager, I started getting out of it, and it wasn't until like 6 years ago where my comedian friend, who was even more into board games than I he started hosting game nights for other comedians, and so we started playing together, and that's when I realized, like, oh, board games are they're just such a great excuse to hang out with your friends. It's like, and it's when you're in your 30s, it's like, I don't want to just like drink beers at a house party anymore. I want to have a reason to drink beers, and board games are like good structured drinking. I love that about it. So
but now
that's how I got it.
Speaking of drinking, okay, so what is something that you would pair with a board game? What's something that you would say, okay, you're sitting around the table and you would pair something with it?
Well, I am very much of a beer snob, personally.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if someone's like, I'm going to have a Bud Light Lime, it's like, no, you are not allowed in this house with a Bud Light Lime. No, thank you. So, I'm going to drink local, and I'm going to drink fancy beers. I'm going to pair that. My favorite type of beers, probably a good brown ale, because it's got a nutty but also sweet finish. I love black lagers. I'm a big fan of barrel-aged stuff because it's got that funk to it. So, again, kind of a snob here.
Me, I'm an Amberbach type of guy.
Okay.
Where you get that nice subtle sweetness to it. It balances well. And then there's a variation of a Hefeweizen, which is called a Crystal Weizen, which is nice and light, but it's got a nice little bit of bubble to it, and you kind of feel it around the cheeks. And then the one that I really like, there's a thing called Duck Rabbit that's a brewery out of North Carolina, and they have like a milk house or coffee house style stout, which is just watching it cascade. There's something about watching like a nice beer like that, just watching it cascade, you know, that period of time where you just see it all slowly begin to rise while the rest is sinking to the bottom. It's nice watching that. But I used to have to run, like I used to be a bar manager back in the day. So
nice. With my touring schedule, breweries have just sort of become my coffee shops, because breweries are like chill places to hang out, and I can bring my laptop, you know, because I'm usually in like cities where I don't really know that many people, and so I'll just go to a brewery to get some work done during the day. I'll go have lunch, I'll get a flight, I'll sit there for 3 hours, and I'll try just a bunch of their different beers. So, you know, at this point, I've been to hundreds of breweries around the country, and it's also like, you know, going into a bar by yourself, people are like, "Who's that creep?" But nobody feels like that when you're in a brewery by yourself. Ooh, that guy's pretty hip. He's securing himself. At a bar, everybody's like, "Ugh, I don't want to talk to that lonely weirdo." But in a brewery, he's like, "What stories does that lonely weirdo have to tell?" You know?
Look at that mustache. I have to know more about him. It's like, why would he have that mustache? No. So that makes me ask the question: what brought about? Now, you had this beautiful beard, and even your Christmas pictures or the holiday pictures that you've got. There's this amazing like photos of you out on a lawn chair. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a thirst. It's like a thirst trap type of image right there.
Oh yeah, I like. Yeah, it was my Rip Van Winkle thirst trap. You know, big old bushy beard.
So now, was it a job that you had to shave off for, or? Okay.
Indeed, it was. So I'm actually currently in the new sci-fi TV series, the movie show. So if you have cable and you have the Sci-Fi Network, check it out. It airs on Thursdays at 11:30 p.m. It's like a late night sort of mock talk show type of thing, but the whole thing is just about movies, and it's hosted by two puppets, and I'm on the show. So it's pretty ridiculous. I play literally, because it's kind of like a show within a show. The concept of the show is that they are making a public access show about movies, and so there's like various crew members and things like that are on camera because it's the show within a show. So I play, my character's name is literally burly crew guy who looks like he's always about to punch somebody. So every time they ask, like they go, "Hey, crew guy," and I'm just like there like this, like I just have my fist up, always looking like I'm about to punch somebody. And so I shaved it to give myself the real burly look here, you know?
I like it. I'm upset though about the beard. You know, I loved that beard. That beard was just, it was like, oh my gosh. Like, and seeing you clean, I like seeing some of your comedic stuff. You're like clean shaven. I'm like, who the crap is that guy? I don't know who that is. Because it's completely,
well, the funniest, the funniest part about it to me is that the beard version of me is the bizarro version. Like most of my life, I've been clean shaven, but once I started doing like the board game videos, because it was the pandemic, I started growing out the beard. So in the board game world, people knew me first as the guy with the beard, but that's like the weird version of me.
Yeah,
I like that people respect that we're geeking out over beer, and I'm that's very okay with me.
Yeah, it's you know, it's fun to talk. I mean, we can talk about board games left and right. We could talk about, you know, everything that's like on the shelf right now. But I realize if we did that, it could be very, very long, a very long episode. But no, you know, like I like talking about these things where we talk about just everyday kind of like relaxing life and what we're doing. And I mean, it makes sense. I mean, talking about beer, why not? So.
I would also like to point out that I love Christmas like so much, like to a weird degree. I love Christmas. So the fact that you just mentioned I'm releasing these, like I have like that I have basically a Christmas suit, and I've been releasing these sort of Christmas like I'm calling him Summer Santa. It was with my big beard and stuff like that. But I would also like to point out that I love Christmas so much that I had the foresight to go around and shoot all of those Christmas photos in September before I had to shave my beard. I was like, I'm gonna want photos with this beard when it comes time for Santa stuff. So I'm gonna be releasing more of those photos. I went to IKEA with that beard and that suit. I went to Target. I was buying stuff like everybody, and in September, people were like, "Oh, this guy's fun." Yeah.
See here, if you saw that around here where we live, everybody would be kind of like, okay. We have some. Yeah, no, it's wild our neck of the woods, but you'll see some interesting things if you come out this way, out in the West Virginia area. So you'll see some people that are just kind of you'll see some stuff. Yeah, you'll see some stuff. It's unique. Yeah, definitely unique. But
I have performed in Morgantown. I've performed in Charleston. I've been around West Virginia.
Well, next time you can. Yeah,
I should definitely make a calendar of Summer Santa.
Now I want a Christmas card so I could put it on our fridge, and just the kids be like, "Who the crap is that guy? And why do you have him in that outfit on our fridge?" Because that would just be a good conversation starter. But
the answer is because I can.
Because I can. Yeah. Yes, because I can. And then my wife will be like, "No, you cannot. Put it with all the other Christmas cards where they go." So no. So you've got a game that just came out that you worked on called Curmudgeon. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the tagline is a game of silly insults, dummy. It's sort of like Mad Libs for making up silly, funny insults. And hopefully, we did a lot of work in the playtesting to sort of make it geared toward like the ridiculous and the silly and not on the mean. I mean, I think you can probably tell even just by like talking to me right now that I'm hopefully not that mean of a person. So I didn't want to make like a mean game. I wanted to make like a silly, funny game. And so the way the game works is everybody has life cards that are in front of them, and you are using keyword cards in your hand to just make up an insult and throw it down on somebody's life card. And, for instance, if somebody's life card said teeth, and you had the insult word cards that said weak and bread, you might be like, your teeth are so weak you couldn't even bite through bread, and then you throw that down. And it's there's structure to the game in that there are prompts, but there's also fairly open-ended that you can bring your own creativity and sense of humor to the game. And one of the things I like about the game is that there are the game is PG-13 as it is, but it can really be as dirty or as clean as the people playing it, right? There's not any swearing or any overtly sexual stuff in the game. And I have played it with some people at a bar at midnight where they make it incredibly filthy because they're filling in all the blanks around the words. And I've played with my mom and my family, and it stays very clean the whole time, and so hopefully I like that about the game where it sort of fits the people that are playing it. It can be as raunchy or as tame and just sort of silly as the people playing it, hopefully. So yeah, I mean, and it's obviously like a party game that's like focused on the experience and not the winner. There is a mechanism for winning, and we did add some like gamey elements into it, right? There are lame cards, so you can if somebody does like a lazy insult, you can throw a lame down. I like that the comment section is just talking trash to you.
Oh yeah, they're preparing. Yeah, Rachel's going to talk as much trash as she can. We're going to have Rachel. Yeah. Rachel's from. She was with originally 524 Labs, Poketo. Now she's with White Wizard, working for them and just doing amazing work. And then you've got Julie from Greenbrier Games is going to be playing with us tonight, as well as Robert from Arcane Wonders. And then we're going to have Chelsea, who's a Renegade hero for Renegade Games. So, yeah, it's going to be, it's business time. Yeah, she's going to mess with me because, yes, I sang of all the songs. Her daughter decided to join us for a live stream of Twitch Sings. And I decided to sing Business Time by Flight of the Conchords, which
I love it.
It's a great song. But I forgot about some of the slight innuendos that weren't as slight as they could be. So I'm just like singing the song to everybody. I'm like, oh yeah. You know how I know it's business time? Because it's Wednesday. Yeah, nothing good ever happens on me. It's like it's one of those. Yeah. Oh, craziness. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. For those who are watching right now at 8:30 Eastern, that's about an hour away. We're going to be playing that live with those people that I was talking about and Chad from 25th Century Games. Something, though, that we also want to talk about, though, tonight is about the ACLU, which we can find out. I'm going to put a little thing about it. I'm going to pop it up here. I know I had my banners ready, and I think I got it on here somewhere. Doodly doo doo doo. I know I'm doing this. Doo doo doo.
I love it. I'll never apologize for that. You sing your heart out.
I will. Here we go. To find out more about the AC, this is going to be really hard for the people that are watching. To find out more, just real quick, about the ACLU, you type in ACLU.org. But I'm going to pull up the actual website, and I'm going to let you talk about it as I'm scrolling through. So go ahead. Let's do this.
Well, I mean, the ACLU is doing so much for people that typically haven't had power, right? It's the American Civil Liberties Union, for anybody that doesn't know what the ACLU stands for. And they're doing a lot for gender equality, for racial equality, for, just so many different things. And, unfortunately, we live in a country where a lot of stuff is decided by the courts. And so the American Civil Liberties Union does a lot of work through the courts to sort of change policy and basically give underserved people opportunities that wouldn't have opportunities before. So I think they're really worth supporting. And this is a year where racial injustice and things like that has been on our minds a lot as Americans, hopefully, with some of the things that have happened in the news. And so I think that the ACLU for a long time has been at the forefront of the fight for racial and gender equality. And so they're just established, and they're a great organization to support.
Mm-hmm. Look at that beautiful face right there. Ugh. Sorry, I'll just leave that at that.
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just looking through it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they've been, yeah.
Well, I found it interesting.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, if you believe in justice and equality, I think this is one of the best organizations to support for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's something that I always found interesting. I was looking up. If I'm correct, Helen Keller was one of the ones that helped start it. Is what it said. And I mean, Helen Keller, that's an interesting story with her. I mean, she wrote 4 books, but was deaf and was mute, if I'm correct. Deaf and mute.
Yeah.
So
and blind.
And blind. Yeah, deaf, mute, and blind. Was able to write 4 books.
Actually, taught. If you Helen Keller International is actually another charity that's very well worth supporting as well. So if you like Helen Keller's story, you can also support Helen Keller International, and they do a lot of charitable work as well. there's a great site, if you've never heard of the site, it's called givewell.org. And what GiveWell does is they basically do a ton of research in terms of which charities make your donations go the furthest. You know, with some charities, and I don't want to name names here, but you know, if you donate to some charities where it's like, well, your whole donation could go towards paying someone's salary and not actually helping with the thing that you want to help with. Well, GiveWell does a lot of research on how charities are allocating different money. And so this is a place where you can go to see like, okay, this is where I can really help, right? These are organizations that are going to make my donation go the furthest.
Yeah, and here's, I'm actually on the site right here. It's saying Helen Keller International supports programs focused on reducing malnutrition and averting blindness and poor vision. This review focuses only on Helen Keller's work on vitamin A supplementation. So that's really cool. What do you get for your dollar? We estimate that it costs $1.10 to deliver a vitamin A supplement in Helen Keller supported programs. Numbers of death averted and other benefits of VAS are a function of a number of difficult to estimate factors, which we discussed below, and then you can click on below. That is really cool. That is really nice.
Yeah.
I like this site.
And you can, you know, obviously with any charity, right, you're going to have different causes that speak to you more, and none are right or wrong. You know, maybe you want to help with racial equality. Maybe you want to help with animals. Maybe you want to help with, problems in a different country, you know, all this sort of stuff. And so there's no wrong answer there. The point is just to think and to help about something outside of yourself. And I like GiveWell because they have a bunch of different organizations where it's like if this is something you're interested in, then this is an organization that we recommend that is working on that sort of issue. Or if you respond to this issue more, here's another organization that's working on that issue.
I like this because, yeah, just scrolling down, you're able to find these ones. And there's even the international ones on here, which is really cool. So I like that.
Yeah. And I think that's important to, you know, think. It is important to think internationally sometimes too, right? I think you should be trying to improve your own community, but you also want to think beyond your community when you're thinking about charity as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's so true because, like you're saying, I mean, sometimes we can get so stuck in our own bubble, and we're constantly looking at like, somebody saying, "Oh no, my computer's taking a long time to load up today," or "Oh, the internet's going a little bit slower." There's people that don't even have a computer. There's people that don't even have water, and you're thinking to yourself, "Okay, how fortunate are we where we are?" We're right now, both of us are in a place where we have a roof over our heads right now. We've got food on the table. We've got clothes on our back. And there's people that are starving out there that don't have these things, that don't know if they're going to live to see tomorrow. And, you know, there's charities out there where we can get involved. So, it's craziness. But yeah. Hey, Chad's in here. He's saying hi.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you. One of the things I liked when you think about charity or what you can do, right? You know, for instance, you know, this was a year where there were a lot of protests in support of racial justice and racial equality, but not everybody is going to be the person that's going to go down and march. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up if that's not what you want to do and that's not what you respond to. That's okay. I read a thing that kind of put it where if you want to be part of the change, think of yourself either as a shield, a sword, or a purse. That is how you can help. A shield, a sword, or a purse. The sword, those are the people that are going to be on the front lines, that are fighting for things, that are volunteering, that are protesting, that are doing things like that. A shield, well, those are going to be the people that aren't comfortable being on the front line of a protest or something like that, but they're going to be involved in activities that support those people that are doing that sort of frontline work. And then lastly is a purse. And it's okay. We all need different charities need money to be able to operate and stuff. So if you're not comfortable being out there in the front, then find a way to give some extra that you have to a cause that you believe in. So be a shield, be a sword, or be a purse.
I like that, and that makes sense because I like that understanding. Because when you said not everybody could go out there to protest, and even sometimes even after protesting, I think the next question is for people that where I'm a cis white male. I think that's the proper terminology.
And so am I.
And so if I were to go out there and I were to protest for somebody that was either a different creed, culture, sexual orientation, race, I think that it's good for us to march. But I think the next question is, well, okay, you did that. Now what are you going to do next? What are you going to do that's going to continue this journey with helping people to be accepted, to be included, to be respected and to be loved? Because, you can't just go and say, all right, I'm going to march, for a couple hours today, and there's my contribution to the world. I feel good about myself, and I'm going to just go back and watch the rest of Stranger Things. I mean,
and then there's a lot of people that do that for sure.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes that the thing that we do a lot of times is we get into our comfort bubbles, and we like that sense of comfort. Like, okay, I got out of my comfort zone. I'm good. I'm going right back into it. I feel better now. I can say I did something. Where I feel like sometimes we need to look at ourselves and look inside ourselves and say, okay, I got a taste. And how can I be one of those three things? Like you just said, a shield, a sword, or a purse. How can I either protect the people that are being harassed or being mistreated? How can I be able to fight on their behalf to help out, or fight alongside them as they go through these struggles? Or how am I able to financially help? And I think, in those situations, I like the fact that there's like those three options, because it is very fitting. I mean, people can do all three.
All of them are important. And I don't think anybody should, you got to figure out what you can do personally. And the point is that you're thinking about it and doing something. And it's, I know, like my mom was like, I don't really want to go to these protests, but I feel like I should. And I was like, Mom, it's okay. You don't have to go to the protest. There are other ways you can express solidarity and be part of the solution instead of the problem. I mean, even the fact of just having conversations about it is an important first step, And, what you're talking about, try to do, ongoing things. Even if you want to take that the purse option, is there a way? Well, a lot of organizations like the ACLU, they get a surge of donations when something happens, and then it falls off. Is there a way you can give a monthly donation instead of a one-time donation? Having a monthly, even if you gave $10 a month, that probably goes further than just giving $100 at one time.
And there's others. And the other thing that I say is with a lot of people, it's like, not every time are you going to be able to financially make this possible, but are you willing to give time or even share a message about it on either Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? Share it with your friends, let them know, hey. Or if there's volunteer opportunities, being able to go out and actually serve and help in those moments, those matter too, because not everybody can pay for these things, or not everybody can afford it. I mean, the holidays, I'm guessing, are really hard for a lot of people right now, because you think people are hurting financially, and you can't be like, okay, how are you going to get the food on the table and be able to do this? And I think some people are going through that situation. I know that it's very much something that happens with people around this time of year. I mean, that I'm so grateful for organizations that find ways to help out with families, just being able to have gifts for their kids or a meal. I mean, a perfect example of our board game community is that there's members in this board game community that we have that have personally reached out to people and have said, hey, if you are struggling and you need help around the holidays, you need food on your table, you need clothes on your back, or maybe you need something for like games for your kids, our community comes together.
Yeah.
It truly does.
That's one of the things I've liked the most about sort of getting more involved in the board game community over these past 8 months is that it is a very supportive community, right? It surprised me both how big the world of board games is, you know, and then also how much everybody still knows each other and supports each other and that sort of stuff. I mean, it's really refreshing because the world of comedy and entertainment isn't really like that anymore. And maybe it was in the 70s where it was sort of more at its nascent stages or whatnot, but it can be pretty cutthroat at times. And I get the feeling that with a lot of board games, with the community, there is still this attitude of like a rising tide raises all ships, right? It's like we are all sort of, because I think we all see the hobby growing a lot right now. I mean, in the last 5 years alone, it's what, tripled in the last like 5 years, where it's like more and more new people are coming to the hobby, and obviously there's not a ton of money in it yet, so we're clearly all doing it because we love board games. And so I think it's about sort of expressing that joy and spreading that love with other people, and I really like being part of that community where that's where it sort of starts, is like spreading joy, right? We are doing this because we want to spread joy and talk about these things we love and get other people to play them. And in the end, I think that's probably why I'm an Omni gamer, partly is because I like having different games for different people, because I want to bring people in. It's like my buddy Josh only wants to play like pretty strategic games. So like I'm introducing him to strategic games. And then I got other friends that are like, if you give them one rule, they're like, I'm out. So it's like, all right, what games do I have where there's no rules, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to have games like Just One, or you got to have games that are like, gosh, Twilight Imperium, though, even though I haven't even played that yet. But you've got to have those type of games where you've got a little bit of, you know, there's people that don't enjoy cooperative games. There's people that do that need cooperative because they hate the competitive nature of some games, because the feeling of losing is a very detrimental feeling, I think, in some games. So we have such a beautiful community, like you said. I mean, where there's publishers. In most industries, you look at fellow companies and you're like, that's my competition. If I'm Coca-Cola, I'm coming for you, Pepsi. I mean, that's kind of how it is. Whereas you'll see Haba, and you'll see Pandasaurus, and you'll see just all the people like at a convention, and they're just talking. They're having great conversations. They're talking to each other. They're enjoying each other's time. And then they're going out to eat afterwards. They're like, oh, hey, let's go to, was it at Origins? It's Big Barn 2. Hey, we're going to go up to Big Barn 2. We're going to go do some games, show a couple things to some of the media people, and then we're gonna eat, and we're just gonna kind of have a good time, and or go get Jenny's ice cream, which I've heard so much about, but I've never had Jenny's ice cream all the times I've been in Columbus. So yeah, I mean, it's good enough that people get it tattooed on their arm and stuff, but I've never had it. But yeah, it's we're so.
And even look at yeah, I was gonna say, like, even look at a game like Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, where you're like, that was, oh, you have a game and we have a game. Why don't we work together and like kind of mash those two games together? It's like you could never imagine like Pepsi and Coke being like, let's do a version together. No way.
Yeah, let's make a semi-sweet beverage that is just a little bit sweeter than Coca-Cola, but a little less sweet than Pepsi.
Yeah.
And let's throw in a splash of vanilla just for fun. No, you won't see that. And I mean, a perfect example, you see the op. The op, I mean, I love the op. I mean, if you can't tell, one of my favorite Christmas themed games right there, Die Hard. And when you think about the op, you see all these intellectual properties, but you also see a lot of the Munchkin line. bleeding through. Like you'll see Munchkin, and Munchkin is very much Steve Jackson Games. So you're seeing Steve Jackson Games working with them. You see Chex Games Edition doing the Codenames versions, like the different IPs of Codenames. Like there's Disney, there's what's the one that I've played a lot with the kids? Marvel. We're big Marvel fans. And then you see other things like they've got other games that are just coming out where it's just kind of like they're working well, like Smash Up. That's Alterac Entertainment. And so they're like, oh, hey, let's do a collaboration where we're going to have the Marvel license and with the Smash Up theme. It's like, oh my gosh, you already had superheroes, but now we actually get to play as Marvel superheroes. I mean, it's a beautiful marriage. It's a beautiful marriage that we have in the board game community, and plus the fact that we're able to just connect and be able to make a difference in a lot of people's lives by sitting down at a table and just having a good time. It's really what it comes down to. There's that connection, and it's beautiful. But we are going to get ready to come back at 8:30. But I want to say a special thank you to Grant because you're just a gem, just in the sense that you have brought a lot of light over this period of time of COVID-19. 2020 has definitely found a special part of I don't know what the right words never work sometimes, but I think the best way I could say it is that your contributions to our community have been a light to a lot of people. Just the little humor and the fun that you have make it just a little bit better for 2020. And I want to say thank you. Oh, your image came up a lot better now.
It just crashed on me and then came back up. So
well, you didn't get to hear any of the compliments. I was talking trash the whole time.
I literally didn't hear any of them. I heard you're a gem and then gone. And
that's perfect.
The universe was like, no, this is 2020. You don't get to feel good about yourself.
No, 2020 just said, no, we're going to have better quality video already because you've been kind of a little bit of fuzzy there. So now you're back in. Yeah, but it's been good. I've enjoyed every moment that I've talked to you. So
sorry, I've been fuzzy here.
Oh my gosh, I was so upset. I was so mad.
I have good internet. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's weird. Hopefully, when post, it will probably look good. But no, what I was saying was that even though it has affected you a little bit on what you've been able to do comedically outside of your home. I was saying that you have truly brought a light to our board game community through your contributions, and I am beyond thankful for you this year.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Hopefully, I can make some people smile and give them a chuckle.
Oh, you definitely do. You definitely do, my friend. You definitely do. So, but yeah, for those who are interested in seeing some of Grant's stuff, do you have a website that people can look at? I know you have your YouTube channel.
You can go to grantlyon.com and find all different sorts of stuff for me. It's Lyon. And then my board game videos are at youtube.com/grantlyon. So
youtube.com. Let me see here.
Yep. It's pretty easy. That's my name.
There we go. And let me put YouTube. I'm just going to type it in here for anybody that wants to go ahead and click on this right afterwards. Make it a time to subscribe, because you will not be disappointed with the content that you see. And I'm going to place that right there. Boom.
Sweet.
On Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Twitch. So yeah, but everybody, thank you very much for watching. We will be back in about a little less than 30, a little over 30 minutes. We'll be back playing Curmudgeon with Grant and other members of the board game community, which is just going to be a lot of fun. Though I'm pretty sure I'm going to get insulted the most. So we will see you all later. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this out with our outro. But remember, folks, if we can gather at the table, we can do the same for a good cause. Everybody have a good night. We'd like to also thank The Op for sponsoring tonight's live stream. One of our favorite games for them currently is